Everybody to our very own and first Truth Thursdays, where we will be having questions and answers to the different topics that we will be having weekly. So today we are going to be discussing toxic traits. Now, toxic traits obviously is a characteristics that many people possess, but a lot of people are either aware of them and they are not. And so the key to, the self-care, becoming a better person is to, number one, recognize what those toxic traits are, or recognize the toxic trait in other people so that you can, number one, avoid them, or two, have that honest conversation with that person and let them know, hey, listen, you a bit toxic now. I can't have you messing up my energy. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. And I'm going to give you all the 5 toxic traits that I wrote down. There are many, but I wrote down the 5 common toxic traits. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. And feel free to leave your comments at the bottom if you have any questions as it pertains to any of our, not topics, but any of our toxic traits. Let us know. Let us know if you guys have either experienced any of them, or if, maybe you have them of your own. So now the first one is going to be the passive aggressive toxic trait. So if you're not familiar with what that is the person that I would consider as the petty person, the person that tends to hold in anger, and they, do things out of spite. So for example, let's just say you're a person and that was become angered by a certain situation that you chose not to talk about. And so instead of you having that discussion with that person, you choose to be spiteful towards them. For example, you all are going shopping and you see a pair of shoes that might be in that person's size, but lie and tell them that their size is out, something like that. Or, if it's your turn to do a favor for somebody that may have irritated you before and you didn't settle it, you purposely mess up that favor, or tend to tell them that you don't have time to get it done. Those are different toxic traits that goes under that passive aggressive. Some of the other ones, examples are fear of intimacy and competition. Now, this is going to be for those that are entrepreneurs. If you have that passive aggression where you're afraid of competition or you run from it, that's going to be a problem, because in order to run a business, you have to, number one, be able to become a competitive person to stay afloat. So make sure that if that is something that you've either experienced or that you find yourself doing, you're gonna need to nip that in the bud. Another example is a stubborn person, or somebody that purposely procrastinates. They become fearful of other things. Some of these traits actually start from childhood, or your upbringing, depending on the environment that you was raised in. Some people become fearful of certain things just based off of what they've either experienced, and they didn't deal with that trauma, and so that tends to carry on into your adult life, and you find yourself affecting relationships because you haven't dealt with it, or maybe you just haven't noticed that is something that you do. So if the examples that I listed are some examples that maybe you found yourself doing, or you see in other people, you need to kind of be mindful of it. All right, self-centered. That is a narcissist. Self-centered, I find as a toxic trait in a lot of F-boys out here. These are going to be people that are only concerned with themselves. They are worried about what can benefit them. They are less likely to care about other people's feelings or what other people have to say, or how certain things that they do might affect another person. Another example of a self-centered person, and this is something I see a lot of people do. Let's just say, for example, you are telling somebody about a problem that you may have. And although that person is listening, they always tend to invite their problem in the conversation. For example, girl, I've just been having so much issues with writer's block. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to put this blog out and I just cannot seem to get the words. And then instead of the person being helpful, that other person that's self-centered tends to throw their issue into your problems instead of helping you. They'll say, oh girl, I know what you mean, because when I was writing my book, we're not talking about you. Self-centered people tend to always want to put their self in a situation. And I will not lie, I've done that a lot of times. And the reason why I used to do that, and I sometimes do it a lot, is I try to gosh, I just forgot about the word. I try to, I'm so mad that I'm like I'm getting tongue tied here, but I try to understand the person and make the person, feel like I really understand them, relate to them. That's what the word I was looking for. I get it. And that can kind of go both ways. Like, if someone is telling you about their problems, sometimes you do want to be relatable by, maybe giving them an example of something you went through that was similar. And that's not bad. But the problem is, you want to be mindful when you do that, especially when you notice that a person is like hurting. Try to keep yourself out of it. Try to really get to the deep and root issue of why the person is experiencing what they're experiencing, and just try to be a friend and listen. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind if you find yourself doing that a lot. It's not always a bad thing, but it can really be irritating if you do it every time. Another example of a self-centered person is a person is only focused on what they want. There's a lot of goal-driven people out here. I get it. I'm a goal-driven person too. However, you got to have balance to that. So if you're getting into a relationship with somebody, or, a friendship, and they're only concerned with what it is that they're trying to do, and they can care less about either your advice, number one, or, they only want to talk about what they're doing. Every time you're talking about your stuff, they try to, rear the conversation back to what it is that they're doing. These are self-centered people, and you got to kind of be careful of those type of people, because a lot of times, if you don't be careful, you might confuse their self-centeredness or their drive. You might just consider it as, oh man, I love being around this person because he's so motivating. You might confuse that with their self-centered personality. So pay a close attention to that, but also pay attention to how that person perceives, you, or how they communicate with whatever it is that you're talking about, especially if you're talking about your goals. Okay, make sure they're supportive of you. The third one is controlling. Now, I know everybody at some point in time has either dealt with a controlling person, or a controlling person, or maybe you've been that controlling person. Now, I'm going to give you a few examples, because all of these different topics that I've put so far are like some really good ones. But this controlling one is, I'm telling you, it's a hand slap. These are the type of people that keeps track of what it is that you are doing for them, or what they're doing for you, in exchange for making you feel guilty if you don't give it back. They're kind of like a tick for tat people. If I do something for you, you need to do it for me, or I'm going to bring it up a month later if you tell me no. And let me throw that in your face. The type of person that tends to criticize you in front of public, or make, negative remarks about you. A person that wants things their way. They can't really see other people's views or opinions. People that tend to over talk others. They rarely listen. They just want everybody to hear them or talk to them. These are different type of controlling behaviors that I see in a lot of alpha people. I'm an alpha woman, and some of these traits we do possess, and a lot of times if we don't learn to manage them appropriately, it can come off as controlling. So, just kind of keep that in mind when you are dealing with somebody, whether it's your significant other or your family or whatever, man. Just, if you don't like that person's outfit, you don't have to criticize them. Just say, okay, girl, I see you. I may not have used that color with that lipstick, but it's popping. I don't know, or maybe just not say nothing at all, because I don't want you to just be lying to folks, especially if they look clownish and you sending them out there in public knowing they look like a fool, and you not say nothing. But it's just all in how you do it. All right. So another example of controlling is I said keeping score, embarrassing people in public. We talked about criticism. Controlling can also be, you wanting a person to act the way that you would act, right? So, for example, if you happen to be at a particular event with a spouse or with a family member or whatever the case might be, and you are an introvert, and that other person tends to be an extrovert, you can't expect them to act like you. If that extrovert is a sociable person and they want to work the room and network, and you choose to be standoffish, You can't get mad at that person and make insults at them because they're choosing to be them. Allow people to be them. That is what makes the world go round. That is what creates balance. When you have people that are not like you, who wants everybody to be like them? It would be so boring. I mean, let's be real. I like people that I can bond with, that has similar characteristics as myself, because I feel like I could be more myself with them. But it's also a good thing to have those introverts, because the introverts to me are going to be the ones that are more observant. Like, I'm an observant person, but they're going to be the ones that's going to pay attention to other things that you might not be paying attention to because you're busy working in a room and talking to everybody. And that's fine. Just, be cool. Be cool. Let folks be them. All right. You don't got to control everything. And a lot of that, it can contribute to your anxiety too, because you're so worried about having your hands on everything and controlling everybody. You take on more than what you need to take on. Like, learn to delegate things. Let folks handle other things. Learn to just be you. Be chill. You know what I mean? Take a chill pill. All right. The fourth one is jealousy. Now, these are the type of people that I don't want to be around. I cannot stand jealous people. I just can't. I'm sorry. Everybody has had a jealousy in them. Yes, they are very observant. Absolutely. Yeah. Introverts they're going to be the ones that's going to sit in that corner and watch everything. So it's good to have those introverts around you. Trust me. But this jealousy to me are dishonest people. But there are different levels of jealousy. So let me just say this. You have the ones that, are jealous about everything. And a lot of times it has a lot to do with their internal issues, how they feel about themselves, and allowing that type of behavior to, pick at other people. These are going to be the people that I feel like, if they're an overly jealous person, you can't really trust them, because a lot of times if you have them as friends or whatever, can you really trust them with information? If you ask that person to go out and do some research for you on a particular project that you're working on, or ask for their honest opinion about something, could you really trust that they would give you the right information, or would they purposely steer you in the wrong direction just because either they're jealous of whatever your goals are, they're jealous of the business that you have, jealous of the way you look? I don't know. I mean, even in relationships, I've seen where, and I'm going to talk about the guys, but I'm going to talk about the women, where if you are in public with your guy and you see a woman that is beautiful, why cling on to your man and pull him close to you? If you are secure about your relationship, you wouldn't need to do that. Trust and believe that girl don't want your man. And if she can take your man, that means he wasn't your man. Be secure within yourself. And this has nothing to do with just relationships, but just period. Go out into that world and own it. Regardless of how you feel about a situation, do not allow it to ever change your character and take away your good energy, okay? If somebody goals and dreams take off before yours, congratulate them, because that has a lot to do with your belief that knowing that yours is going to take off too, especially if they're your friends. There's an old saying that says, hey, if my friend is being blessed or my family member is being blessed, that means that God is in the neighborhood and it is my time. So instead of you throwing shade at a person or trying to shoot down their goals or talking negatively about a person behind their back, praise them. You find out what it is that they did that may have been different from what you're doing, just to kind of maybe give you that insight so that you can change it up. Or let's just say, that person that is in a relationship and you're single, and maybe you tend to be jealous about that person's marriage or relationship. Have a conversation with the girl and tell her, girl, what did you do? Man, did you like the Sierra prayer when everybody was asking Sierra, girl, what was your prayer? You got Russell, honey. And Russell, came back and said, well, did anybody ask me about my prayer? Instead of hating on a relationship, ask her what she did, or what some things that she changed about herself, to attract that type of guy or whatever. I'm just giving you guys some examples of how to kind of tone that jealousy down, because it's not good for you. And honestly, it can affect your health. It's a form of depression, really, because the more energy that you bring that's negative amongst yourself, it's not going to do anything but weigh you down, and it will seek out of you, and it will it will ruin your relationships with people that you used to have around you, you would notice them dropping off because nobody wants to be around a jealous person. It's just not a good look on you. You know, we are far too beautiful to be jealous of anything and anybody, especially if you're a child of God, honey. Come on now. We don't do that. The other one is, I think I said, yeah, negative talk about people. When you talk about folks behind their back, or you pretend like, you know, you're somebody's friend and you're really not. Yeah, we got to let that go. Let's see. The next one is holding grudges. Now, this is another form of unforgiveness. If you are a person that holds on to grudges and you cannot seem to let whatever that situation go, you are welcoming in anxiety and depression. I'm telling you, because it is also negative energy that you are allowing in yourself, and it is weighing you down. Do not ever allow anybody to stay in your head rent free. And at the end of the day, forgiveness is not for the person, it is for you, because at the end of the day, God forgave you, so you have to make sure that you forgive people no matter what. Let's see what the comment says. Yeah, we don't need that bad energy. Absolutely not. Part of, you know, the self-care has a lot to do with your mental stability and retraining your subconscious mind. And in order for you to do this, is some of these negative traits that we are talking about, if you possess them or if you are around people that have these things, these are, they're huge. They can impact you. You know, they really can, especially if you have these type of people in your circle. So just kind of be mindful of these different examples that we've given, and shoot, we're going to talk about how to get rid of them. But, yeah, back to the holding grudges though, you know, just let things go. Pick and choose your battles. If it is something that is small, let it go, to be honest with you. Even if it resorts in you not wanting to be friends with somebody anymore, you don't need to hold on to grudges. I mean, I've had plenty of friends where I've let them go and I've chose not to be friends with them anymore, but I'm not going to hold a grudge. I mean, if I see them in public, I'll speak, but you're not coming to none of my events. I'll speak, but I'm not going to call you or invite you over for Sunday dinner. I'll pray for you. If I see your post or something and you're going through something traumatic, I will absolutely pray for you, because that's what I'm supposed to do. But I don't care that much about you to hold no grudge or to have you, again, living in my head rent free. So just keep that in mind if you are a person that holds on to grudges, or if you're friends with people like this. You got to be careful with friends that are unforgiving people, because I've noticed that, and I've had very few that are unforgiving, but the few that I've noticed that are unforgiving people, you got to kind of watch them, because these are some of the most pettiest people as well. Especially if you ask them, well, why aren't you cool with that? Or why are you still holding on to that? When they give you the reason why and you realize how petty it really was, I mean, it might be big to them, but when you really look at it, especially if it's something that's from 10, 15, 20 years ago and they hold on to it, I have to really question that person's characteristics, because I'm like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure some time frame you may have done something to make somebody else mad and they forgiving you, so it gives you the right to not forgive other people. But again, if it is somebody that has nothing to do with you, but if it is you, forgiveness is for you, okay? And I think I'm at the last one, y'all. Insecurity. So insecurity to me goes hand in hand somewhat with jealousy. All right? Because a lot of times when you are insecure about something, ties into jealousy, okay? And especially if you're jealous about something, it can kind of make you insecure. I don't know. They go hand in hand with me. Insecurity has a lot to do with how you feel about yourself, okay? You need to figure out what is making you insecure. So one example of insecurity is being yourself. A lot of times, social media has put a lot of things in our head to make us believe like we need to look like a particular somebody, or we need to talk a certain way, or we need to dress a certain way. Listen, God made one you, okay? No one else can or ever will be you. So if you are trying to walk around or pretend to be something that you are not, you are, number one, it is being disrespectful to our Maker. Two, you are not being true to yourself. You're lying to yourself because you are being somebody else. And how can you honestly look yourself in the mirror and say that I'm beautiful and oh girl, I'm a boss. And I'm saying, I hear women say this all the time. I'm a boss, girl. I look good. I am this. I am that. Okay, but you're looking like everybody else and you're talking like everybody else. And the first person that go get the Birkin bag, you want to go get it. Or the first person that go get the first pair of Louboutins. And I'm not knocking anybody that do it. But I'm just saying folks that run to do it just because they see other people do it because you want to do it. If you want to, wear your red bottoms to bed or whatever the case might be, do it because you want to do it, not because everybody else do it. Your life shouldn't be a trend is really what I'm saying. You don't have to feel like you have to be somebody else just to feel good about yourself. If you choose to get up and take your weave out your head and wear your cornrows as up under the sew-in with a freaking, I don't know, ball cap on your head because that's just what you felt like doing, then do it. Okay? If you choose to put on jogging pants with a white beater on, with your J's, and go out to, I don't know, outside because you want to go running and you don't feel like putting on a sexy workout outfit, go ahead and do it. All I'm saying is be you, okay? You do not have to be like nobody else because at the end of the day, the uniqueness is in being yourself. It is only one you, so let us see her, all right? Bring her out. So now that I've went over those different topics, we're going to talk about how to avoid them. Either how to avoid them or how to get rid of them if you are one of the ones that have those toxic traits. So the first one is you need to start becoming aware of these traits, especially the ones that I've named, including some of the other ones that you might want to Google. Google toxic traits because it's a bunch of them, but be aware of them. One thing that I did personally is I went out to different friends and family members and even exes to ask, what is one thing that I do that irritates you? And one of the earring malfunction, one of the responses that I got over and over again was, Tanika, you like to control things. I have had, because I've gotten better, a controlling attitude. I like things done when I want them done. And so if I'm asking someone to do something for me, and if it is not done in the fashion or the time frame that I would like it done, either I go do it myself, or I tend to call that person up and say, hey, I thought you said you was going to do this for me. And they're like, yeah, I'm working on it. If you're a person that tends to invite yourself or your situation into somebody else's situation when they're talking about it, just be mindful. Just start paying attention to things that you do when you're doing it, especially if you hear people say it over and over again and they say the same thing about you. Everybody is not lying, okay? Everybody is not, out to get you. Sometimes people are telling you that because, number one, you do it a lot and it's noticeable, and two, they just want to see you become a better person. So don't always beat the people or kill the messenger, all right? The second one is identify possible reasons. So when you find yourself doing that, figure out why you are participating in a certain toxic trait. If you are a person that is self-centered, what makes you self-centered? Does it come from an insecurity where you feel like, oh, if I pay attention to somebody else or if I support them, their dream might take off before mine? Is that a form of insecurity or jealousy? Or are you a person that just don't know how to let other people win? You're so self-centered to where you feel like if you look out for other people, you're going to neglect yourself. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there, figure out what makes you do the things that you do that are toxic, because this all plays into your self-care. Everything is not all about meditating affirmation. It's all about your behavior. And in order to retrain your subconscious mind, number one, you have to be aware of those negative things so that you can get rid of them while you're manifesting the positive. Because there's no need of you manifesting all positive things, but you still got some negative, behavior or characteristics that's within inside that's spilling out. Nobody's going to really take you serious. Oh yeah, let's talk about affirmation, but at the same time, you're stabbing your girlfriend in the back. It doesn't make sense. So keep that in mind, you all, while we are on this journey, okay? The third one is to think clearly before you act. This all goes into paying attention of those negative traits. Think clearly. If you know that this person over here just irritated your soul, have those honest conversations with that particular person, especially if you consider them as a friend or a close family member. If it is somebody that does something that I do not like, I will not hide how I feel. I will tell that person, you know what, girl, we got to chat. Because the other day, I didn't really like how you made me feel. That doesn't necessarily mean that you got to attack that person right away. But it's not a bad idea to table it, but then, choose a better time to address the situation. I don't want you to hold in anger to where that anger turns into something that is long-term hurt, and then it starts coming out in different ways. Because, really, a lot of times you don't have control over it. That person might piss you off again, and then you really take off on their behind, not even knowing that this has been building up since 1997 because you didn't attack it. The way you were supposed to. You didn't address it, is what I meant to say. So, yeah, think closely before you act. The other one is to be honest with people about how you feel. And I already touched on that. Don't hide how you feel about people, okay? A lot of toxic, traits comes from, like, the insecurity. If you feel insecure about something or somebody made you feel insecure about it, talk about it. If it's a jealousy thing, or maybe it's something that somebody's doing that maybe you became jealous because, like I said, this person's career took off before yours, or they got into that relationship that you've prayed and dreamed about. Talk about it. You know what I mean? Talk about it to yourself. If you can't talk about it to a friend, just look yourself in the mirror and be like, girl, why are you jealous? Girl, your blessing coming. Honey, if she got it, you gonna get it. Start talking to yourself, but figure out why. Like, why? I've done that. Why am I mad? That's not even that serious to be mad about. Now I'm sitting up here frowning up my pretty face over something that's not even that serious. Really be honest with yourself and have them conversations. And the last one is, have accountability partners around you. You need to have folks that is going to tell you when you are spilling out these toxic characteristics. If you are a person that is jealous, you need to have that friend or that family member telling you, girl, you jealous. Yes, you are. Yep. I saw the way you cut eyes at her. Why? Because she looked better in the dress that you wanted to wear, or you couldn't wear it and she could. Have friends tell you, no, you caring about yourself. You don't cut me off again, or you don't cut that person off again. Talking about yourself again. Have folks. You don't want a bunch of yes people around you. That is not healthy at all. I'm going to be honest with you, especially with even these successful people that we see out here. All they have is yes people. And a lot of time when you got a lot of yes people around you, to me, that's a recipe for disaster. Because when you are doing something that can tarnish your character and that can ruin important relationships, and you don't have the right people telling you when you're doing it and recognizing maybe why you did it, because a lot of times if you have an accountability partner, they're going to be there from the start to finish. I know when it made you mad. I can tell you when you got mad. You got mad when XYZ happened. They're going to be the ones going to tell you, and you might get mad, because I've even got mad at people that, was honest with me. But at the end of the day, they were there to help me. And so I've learned to take constructive criticism. And that is also something that you're going to have to be able to do. You got to be able to take constructive criticism. Even if you disagree with the person, disagree with how they're saying it, you have to be able to understand that if you've welcomed your starting five, in which I've talked about many times, if you're going to have your starting five around you, you're going to have to be respectful and understand that your starting five is not always going to be in your favor. Well, they're going to be in your favor, but they're not going to always be to your liking. Their job is to be honest with you no matter how it makes you feel, because their job is to make you a better you. All right. So anyway, you all, I hope that you were able to get a lot out of our Q&A today. It has been a pleasure talking with you all. Keep in mind that we will have Truth Thursdays each week where we will be bringing different topics, and I'm actually going to start bringing some guests on our segment as well. So if you would like to be a guest on our Q&A session on Thursdays, feel free to DM us, send us a message, text, email, whichever is your best method of contact, and we will go ahead and be sure about getting you guys on our live, okay? So thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a wonderful and blessed Thursday, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.